There's a portrait hanging in the National Gallery in London that security guards refuse to work near after dark. Visitors report feeling intensely uncomfortable when they stand in front of it, as if someone is staring directly into their soul. Some people have fainted. Others have run from the room. Children cry when their parents try to show it to them. And the strangest part? Almost everyone describes the same experience. No matter where you stand in the gallery, the eyes in this painting follow you, track your movements, and seem to know what you're thinking. The painting is called Portrait of a Young Man, and it was created in 1585 by an artist whose name has been lost to history. We don't know who painted it. We don't know who the subject was. We don't even know how it ended up in the National Gallery's collection. But what we do know is that for over 400 years, this painting has affected people in ways that no other artwork does. Today, we're going to examine this disturbing masterpiece, explore the psychological and technical reasons why certain paintings seem to watch us, and investigate whether there might be something genuinely supernatural about images that refuse to let us look away. Let me start by describing what you see when you look at this painting, because the image itself is deceptively ordinary. A young man, perhaps in his early 20s, sits against a dark background. He's wearing the clothing of a wealthy merchant or minor nobleman from the late 16th century, a black doublet with a white ruff collar, the kind of formal attire you'd see in portraits by Rembrandt or Franz Hals. His hands are folded in his lap, his posture is formal and composed. Everything about the composition is conventional for a Renaissance portrait, except for the eyes. Those eyes are what make this painting unforgettable and deeply unsettling. They're large, slightly too large for the face, and they're painted with an intensity that seems impossible for the period. The irises are so detailed that you can see individual color variations, flecks of gold and brown within the green. The pupils are dilated, as if the subject is looking at something that fascinates or frightens him. And most disturbing of all, there's a highlight in each eye, a tiny spot of white paint that creates the illusion of moisture, of a living eye that has just blinked. But it's not just the technical skill that makes these eyes so powerful. It's the expression. The young man is not looking at the viewer with the neutral, pleasant gaze of a typical portrait subject. He's staring with an intensity that feels aggressive, almost hostile. His gaze doesn't invite you to admire the painting. It challenges you. It judges you. And no matter where you move in the gallery, those eyes track you. Stand to the left, and he's looking at you. Move to the right, and his gaze follows. Walk away, and you can feel him watching your back. This phenomenon, the sense that a painted figure is watching you, is not unique to this particular portrait. Many paintings create a similar effect, most famously the Mona Lisa. But there are key differences. The Mona Lisa's gaze feels mysterious and perhaps slightly amused. She might be watching you, but she's not threatening. The young man in this portrait feels dangerous. People don't smile when they look at him. They get nervous. Some visitors have reported feeling dizzy or nauseous after staring at the painting for more than a few minutes. The National Gallery acquired the painting in 1951 from a private estate in Scotland. According to the paperwork, it had been in the family for at least 200 years, possibly longer. But the family was eager to sell it, and they sold it for far less than a Renaissance portrait of this quality should have commanded. When the acquisition curator asked why they were willing to part with it so cheaply, the family representative said something strange. It needs to be somewhere with people around it during the day. It shouldn't be alone at night. The curator dismissed this as superstition, but the gallery staff quickly learned what the family meant. Within weeks of the painting being hung, security guards began reporting unusual experiences. They would do their rounds at night, and when they passed the portrait gallery, they would feel intensely uncomfortable. Several guards reported hearing whispering when they were near the painting, though no words were ever clear enough to understand. Others said they felt cold spots,
sudden drops in temperature localized around the painting. One guard quit after claiming he saw the young man's mouth move slightly, as if he were trying to speak.
The gallery investigated, of course. They checked the environmental controls, they examined the painting for any unusual materials or techniques that might explain the reported phenomena. They consulted with art historians, conservators, and even a psychologist who specialized in how people respond to visual stimuli. The consensus was that there was nothing objectively unusual about the painting. It was a competent Renaissance portrait, well preserved for its age, using standard materials and techniques of the period. There was no reason for it to affect people so strongly. But the experiences continued. Visitors kept reporting the same things: the intense discomfort, the feeling of being watched and judged, the sense that the young man in the painting knew something about them that he shouldn't know. The gallery began to keep a log of incidents, and the entries make for disturbing reading. A woman fainted and had to be carried out. A man became violently angry and tried to attack the painting before security intervened. A child screamed that the man is trying to get out and refused to enter that gallery ever again. In 1967, a group of researchers from Cambridge University got permission to study visitor reactions to the painting. They set up hidden cameras and observed people as they encountered it for the first time. What they found was consistent and remarkable. Nearly 80% of visitors showed immediate physiological stress responses: increased heart rate, shallow breathing, pupil dilation, micro-expressions of fear or anxiety. Many people would approach the painting, stop suddenly at a certain distance, and refuse to get closer. Some would circle it warily, keeping as much space as possible between themselves and the image. Only about 15% of visitors seemed unaffected, and these individuals tended to score high on measures of emotional detachment or low on measures of empathy. The researchers concluded that the painting was somehow triggering a primal threat response in viewers, but they couldn't explain why. Yes, the eyes were intense. Yes, the gaze was direct. But many other portraits have similar features without provoking such extreme reactions. There had to be something else, some additional element that made this particular painting so disturbing.
One theory involves the technical execution of the eyes. When the painting was examined under magnification, conservators discovered that the artist had used an unusual layering technique. Instead of painting the eyes in the standard way, building them up from dark underlayers to lighter surface details, this artist had painted them in reverse. The highlights were applied first on the bare canvas, and then darker layers were built up around them. This is backwards from normal practice, and it creates a strange optical effect. The highlights seem to glow from within rather than reflecting light from without. The eyes look lit from behind, as if there's something inside the head producing its own illumination. Another discovery was even more unsettling. Chemical analysis of the paint used for the eyes revealed traces of materials that shouldn't be there. The whites of the eyes contained not just lead white, the standard pigment, but also powdered bone. The irises contained a mix of pigments that included verdigris, a copper-based green, but also traces of what appeared to be dried blood. Now, artists in the Renaissance did sometimes use unusual materials. Mummy brown was made from actual mummified corpses. Some blacks were made from burnt bones. But the combination used in this painting was bizarre and without parallel in other works from the period. Did the artist believe these materials would give the portrait special properties? Was he trying to create something more than a mere likeness? We'll never know because we don't know who he was. The painting is unsigned, and no contemporary documents mention it. It appears in no artist's catalog, no patron's inventory, no historical record until it surfaces in Scotland in the 18th century. It's as if the painting materialized fully formed, with no history, no context, no explanation. Some art historians have speculated that the portrait might have been created as part of some occult practice. The late 16th century was a period of intense interest in magic, alchemy, and attempts to bind spirits into objects. Portraits were sometimes used in sympathetic magic, the idea being that an image of a person contains some essence of that person and could be used to affect them at a distance. Could this portrait have been created with the intention of trapping or containing something? Could the young man depicted have been a willing or unwilling participant in some kind of ritual?
This is speculation, of course, and most scholars dismiss it as fanciful. But it's worth noting that the portrait does have some features consistent with magical practice of the period. The young man is wearing a ring on his left hand, and under magnification, the ring appears to have symbols engraved on it. These symbols don't match any known family crests or merchant marks. They look more like sigils, the symbolic designs used in ceremonial magic. Additionally, there are tiny marks in the background of the painting, so faint that they're only visible under certain lighting conditions. These marks form geometric patterns, circles, triangles, pentagrams. They could be simple decorative elements, or they could be magical diagrams. In 1982, a medium visited the National Gallery and asked to spend time with the painting. The gallery was skeptical, but allowed it as a kind of publicity stunt. The medium, a woman named Margaret Hartley, sat in front of the portrait for 3 hours, attempting to communicate with whatever presence might be in or connected to the painting. Afterward, she reported that the young man in the portrait was not the person he appeared to be. According to Hartley, the face was a mask, a false identity covering something else. She claimed the painting was a prison, created to contain an entity that would otherwise be free to cause harm. Most people, including the gallery staff, dismissed this as nonsense. But then Hartley said something that gave everyone pause. She described specific details about the painting that weren't visible to casual observation. She mentioned the ring with its strange symbols, which she couldn't have seen from her position in the gallery. She mentioned the geometric patterns in the background, which were only discovered years later during a restoration. And she mentioned that if you looked at the painting in infrared light, you would see another face beneath the visible image. The gallery had never examined the painting with infrared. They did so shortly after Hartley's visit, and she was right. Beneath the visible portrait, there's another image, a face, but not a human face. It has too many eyes, arranged asymmetrically. The mouth is too wide, extending almost to where ears should be. The overall effect is of something trying to look human, but not quite succeeding. This underlayer could simply be a pentimento, an earlier composition that the artist painted over. But why would an artist start with such a disturbing image and then cover it with a conventional portrait? And why would a medium with no art historical training be able to describe it?
The rational explanation is that Hartley had done research, that she'd found information about the painting through normal means and then pretended to receive it psychically. But no information about the underlayer existed in any public record at that time. The only way she could have known was if someone at the gallery had told her, and extensive interviews established that no one had. The mystery of how she knew remains unsolved. Since the infrared discovery, the painting has been the subject of numerous studies. Researchers have measured brain activity in viewers using EEG and fMRI. They found that looking at this portrait activates areas of the brain associated with threat detection and social anxiety more strongly than other portraits with similar direct gazes. They've also found unusual patterns of eye movement. Normally, when looking at a face, our eyes move in predictable patterns. We look at the eyes, then the mouth, then back to the eyes. But with this portrait, Viewers' eyes tend to get stuck on the eyes. They have difficulty looking away, difficulty even blinking. This creates the subjective experience of being trapped by the gaze. One theory is that the painting creates a kind of feedback loop. The eyes are painted in a way that triggers our threat detection system. We stare at them, trying to assess the threat level. But staring at them intensifies the sense of threat, which makes us stare more intensely, which increases the sense of threat. The painting hijacks our normal social processing mechanisms and turns them against us. We can't not respond to those eyes, and our response makes the painting's power over us stronger. But this doesn't explain everything. It doesn't explain the guards hearing whispers. It doesn't explain the sudden cold spots. It doesn't explain the multiple visitors who report feeling that the young man knows them personally, knows their secrets and fears. These experiences go beyond what can be explained by visual processing and threat response. They suggest something else, something genuinely anomalous.
In 2003, the National Gallery briefly considered removing the painting from public display. The number of incidents had increased, and there were concerns about liability if someone was seriously hurt. But the decision was controversial. Many visitors specifically came to see the painting precisely because of its reputation. It had become one of the gallery's most popular works, not despite its disturbing qualities, but because of them. People wanted to test themselves against it to see if they would be affected like others had been. The gallery compromised by moving the painting to a less prominent location and adding a warning sign. This portrait has been reported to cause discomfort in some viewers. If you experience dizziness, anxiety, or other distress, please step back and inform a staff member. The sign itself became controversial. Some people argued it was feeding into superstition and giving power to what should be just a painting. Others appreciated the warning and the acknowledgement that people's experiences were real and valid. Today, the painting remains on display, though its exact location in the gallery changes periodically. Some believe this is for conservation reasons or to refresh the gallery arrangement. Others suspect it's because the painting seems to have a radius of effect. Visitors to adjacent galleries sometimes report feeling uneasy without knowing why, and then discover that the portrait is nearby. Moving it regularly prevents any one area of the gallery from being permanently affected by its presence. The phenomenon of paintings that seem to watch you is not limited to this one work. There are others around the world, portraits that disturb viewers in similar ways. In the Uffizi in Florence, there's a portrait by Bronzino that guards avoid. In the Prado in Madrid, a certain Goya self-portrait makes people uncomfortable. In the Hermitage in St. Petersburg, there's a Dutch portrait whose subject seems to sneer at anyone who looks at it. But the National Gallery's portrait of a young man is the most thoroughly documented, the most consistently reported, and the most intensely experienced.
What makes a painting watch you back? Is it just technique? An especially skilled artist creating an unusually intense gaze? Is it psychology, our own tendency to project consciousness onto images of faces? Is it the accumulation of stories and expectations, the power of suggestion making us experience what we've been told to expect? Or is it possible that some images genuinely contain or attract something beyond the physical paint and canvas? I don't have definitive answers. What I can say is that our relationship with images is more complex than we usually acknowledge. We're not just passive viewers. We bring our own psychology, our fears and hopes, our capacity for imagination. And images, especially images of faces, trigger deep, primal responses. We're wired to read faces, to detect threats, to assess social situations. A painting that manipulates these hardwired responses can have power over us, whether or not there's anything supernatural involved.
But I also think we should remain open to the possibility that some artworks are genuinely strange, that they affect us in ways that can't be completely explained by current psychological or neuroscientific models. The human brain is still largely mysterious. Consciousness is still largely mysterious. And the interaction between consciousness and images, between viewer and artwork, is especially mysterious. Maybe some paintings do watch us back. Maybe the boundary between art and observer is more permeable than we think. If you ever visit the National Gallery in London, I encourage you to seek out this painting. Stand in front of it. Look into those eyes. See what you feel. But don't stay too long. And don't go at night. According to the guards, that's when he's most active, when the galleries are empty and dark, and the young man in the portrait is alone with just his own thoughts and whatever intentions he might have.
I'd love to hear your experiences if you've encountered paintings that seem to watch you. Have you ever felt truly uncomfortable or frightened by an artwork? Share your stories in the comments. And if you'd like to own reproductions of art that won't stare back, visit our catalog of over 500 historical masterpieces, available with free worldwide shipping. The link is in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, if the painting lets you leave.